to a new episode of ReptilTV. My intro animal, I think something like this. Well, today, after 35 years of terroristics or even more, I'm holding it in my hand for the first time. They used to be called Crocodiles Giganteus, now they're called Smaug Giganteus. The giant girdled lizard from South Africa. By chance, we got some animals that are going to a zoo. Yes, I'm quite proud of that. Wanted to show you, and that's why I wanted to use it as the intro animal today, so I can introduce it to you. Smaug Giganteus, I think, is definitely one of the very rare, if not actually one of the rarest terrarium animals that are known to exist, at least in the non-African or non-South African terrarium community. I quickly traveled from our well-known studio here to South America for you. Behind us, you can see the Amazon winding its way along. Here, the piranhas behind me. I have to be careful not to walk too far back, or I might end up with a piranha on my foot. I do all this to offer you some variety. Anyone who knows me knows I'm always making jokes, so I'm not at the Amazon, I'm here at the Havel. I have to take a look at my camera assistant here. Havel is correct. Havel Berlin, the background is, we already introduced Till to you. He is the new ReptilTV producer, and I've come to visit him now, and that's why we thought this would be a nice setting. The Berlin area by the Havel, and this is going to be our little summer studio for the next few ReptilTV episodes. Yeah, a bit of variety for you. Long introduction. The topic was, we put out a call, Ask Stefan. Once again, we got great questions from you, really a lot within 24 hours. So many that I actually can't answer them all. As always, I've picked out a few. Some questions have already been covered in previous ReptilTV episodes. Someone asked how to thaw frozen food, or which snake is best for a first pet. Search the channel for frozen food to see all episodes, or look up first snake for an episode on that. So just type first snake into the search. You'll get 20 minutes of my tips there. That's why I picked out questions where I think they're relatively new. Well, relatively. Some things do repeat themselves, but that's okay. Times change too, and yeah, so I picked out some accordingly. Chido and Eve, how would you get started in the reptile business if you were to do it all over again with the experience you've gained over the years? And actually, there are two more similar questions. Someone else asked, Zuzajak is unfortunately history, worrying incidents for our hobby. XXL nearby is stopping the sale of reptiles. How do you assess the situation? Will there be fewer and fewer specialty stores for reptiles? And Pierre CJ has a similar question. Hey, Stefan, how do you see the future of local trade in terroristics? Have there ever been times when you would have preferred to quit the business? Best regards, Pierre. So these three questions all go a bit in the same, or in the same direction. Life is change, you know. That's something we'll always have. We have it in terroristics, and we have it in the terroristics trade, and we have it everywhere. Whether someone runs a lingerie shop or a mobile phone store or whatever else there is, there are always ups and downs and different times, of course. And I would say that for almost the last decade, online retail was the big thing. Everyone was saying, like, yeah, you absolutely have to do online retail. Maybe you yourself also bought a lot more online than you did in physical stores. But as I said, all of that is subject to change. I think that right now there's actually a kind of return to brick and mortar stores, you know, that people are once again enjoying going into a shop somewhere. So not just picking things out online and thinking, well, it'll be here tomorrow, but actually going into a store, enjoying it a bit, maybe browsing around a little, maybe talking with the staff. I think that's an important point. Of course, I also need experts in a store, and not just some salesperson who's in their first year, third month, and has no clue about anything. I mean, of course, those people have to exist too, and that's legitimate, but I definitely want expert advice as well. I think that's starting to come back a bit more. On the other hand, I can't just say, okay, I'll open my brick and mortar store now and hope that everyone will come to me. I will probably still need online sales as well. And for my business in particular, I need some kind of mix of everything. You know, for me, it's the store, it's online sales. Then we also do quite a lot of international exports. There are new markets, now keyword Saudi Arabia. I showed you something about that before. Things are going pretty well right now in the terrarium business, or Asia in general. Japan, for example, has been buying a lot for decades, also from Europe. And so everything kind of blends together sometimes. One thing is doing well, sometimes another is doing worse, and it all balances out. To get back to your question, 9V, how would you get started in the reptile business if you were to start over? Basically, I would start the same way I did now, diversify broadly, like I just mentioned, and be aware of these ups and downs. Don't start complaining when things aren't going so well somewhere. Or it could also happen that all areas perform equally poorly. In that case, the business is just doing worse, and only later will things get better. Don't let it drive you crazy. Important, of course, to deliver quality, what I just mentioned, qualified staff. I need to know what I'm telling customers, give excellent advice, and deliver quality online. The customer has to be able to rely on me 1000% when ordering something online, especially when it comes to live animals, of course, that they receive a super healthy, flawless animal, the exact one they picked from the photo or accessories. He needs advice, which we offer via WhatsApp, email, phone, or through ReptilTV episodes, a form of consultation. You naturally have to deliver that, and you have to deliver quality. And then I think in the end, it will also be crowned with success. Tesla 8438. By the way, Tesla, I don't know if you might want to change your name. It's not really that trendy right now. You asked if I could do a reptile wrap. Well, I definitely won't be doing one. Maybe I'll get my kids to do it sometime. They're more into that sort of thing. But maybe there's someone among you who has a cool reptile wrapper. If you have something like that, feel free to send it in, and maybe we can show it in a ReptilTV episode. So I won't be making one, but if you have one, I'd be happy to show it. Karajan, does your son's snake still exist? Did it stay at just one, or have there been more added? No, there haven't been any more added. What you have to realize is that my kids, in quotation marks, kind of suffer from having reptiles around them 24/7. And when you have something around you 24/7, it kind of gets a bit boring, or at least it doesn't have the same appeal as something new or unfamiliar. Yeah, I think that's just how it is. I think a child who grows up on a farm definitely feels a connection to it, but for them, it's all just normal, you know, and it's the same with the reptiles. It's all just normal. And what I'm getting at is Molino, who had this ball python, at some point he said, oh, well, Dad, just take her and add her to your breeding stock. And he gave her to me as a breeding animal. She was a beautiful piebald for breeding purposes. So she's no longer in his back then childhood bedroom, now a teenager's or young adult's room at around 17 years old. And his interests at the moment are, well, heading a bit in a different direction than they were back then. Why am I bringing up this question? I think that's also an advantage of reptiles. So if I get a dog or perhaps a cat as a pet, I can't just say after, 3 or 4 years, so there's something going on in the background right now, probably a spring tide or something like that, and I can't just say after 3 or 4 years, well, I don't really feel like having a cat anymore, so I'll just give it away. Now, I know this is exactly where the shitstorm will probably start, and people might have strong opinions about it. Yes, Stefan, but with reptiles, you can do that. No, actually, you can't do that with reptiles either. When you get a pet, you're really getting it for life. But with a reptile, I think with the snake, well, for the snake, it's more acceptable if after a few years, kids and teenagers really want a pet. If after 3 or 4 years, the interest really fades and then it's the parents who actually have to take care of it. So that would be the case for some parents. What you're hearing now might sound familiar to you. That's usually how it is. At some point, it's just the parents left taking care of the animal while the teenagers are out playing sports, hanging out with friends, partying, or whatever else. And I think that's actually good. And it has to be that way. That's just part of growing up. And with a reptile, I think it's really reasonable to say, well, come on, the snake, I might just pass it on to someone I know, or like in our case, if Melina gives it to me for breeding, then of course it's in good hands as well. As I said, with dogs, cats, even rabbits, or whatever else, or birds, all the kinds of pets people have, I think that's a lot more problematic. I really couldn't do that to a cat, having it pass from one person to another, or to a dog either. And again, that's so the much maligned exotic animals, Why do people have to keep exotic animals? That's actually another advantage of these exotic animals. A snake, for example, is naturally less intelligent and doesn't form such a strong bond with its keeper. So it doesn't really have a problem being passed on to someone else. So that's one issue taken care of. Hello, I have a few questions regarding the private keeping of crocodiles. What is the largest crocodile kept privately in Germany or all of Europe that you have seen so far? Are there any armored crocodiles or sundagarials in the private trade? What is the best private crocodile enclosure you have ever seen? Looking forward to the next episode. I'm going to generalize a bit here and not address all of your points in detail. Keeping crocodiles in terrariums is, of course, a borderline issue. In my opinion, it is definitely doable if someone is willing to dedicate the space for it. If they say, I have a large basement or a big hobby room, and I want to set up a nice crocodile terrarium there with such and such square meters, then you can definitely do it. Of course, that comes with costs, with higher or even high costs. It requires a lot of space, but it can be done. What is, of course, suitable are the smaller species, Paleosuchus, Paleosuchus palpebrosus or Trigonatus, which really only grow to about 1 meter in length. A dwarf crocodile at 1.60 meters is pushing the limit zone 60, 180, always including the tail. Per guideline, sex act numbers need calculation, but I'd need 30 or 40 square meters of space. That is a very large space. What I want to say is keeping crocodiles is generally possible, and keeping small species is possible. You need a lot of space. You have to be in a federal state where it's allowed. Unfortunately, not every federal state in Germany still allows it. There are restrictions in some states. Bavaria has restrictions. I think North Rhine-Westphalia, Berlin as well. I'm being warned right now that some waves are coming. I have to be careful not to get my feet wet. In those places, it's not possible to keep crocodiles, or you don't get the permit from the state, but In some federal states, like Baden-Württemberg, it's allowed. ReptilTV is watched abroad. In Switzerland, you need a permit. In Austria, possible, but you have to register and specify size. Definitely a great hobby. The things you just mentioned, the slender-snouted crocodile, Sundagarial, that's obviously impossible for a private individual. I think you'd need terrariums that are so large, we're talking about 100 square meters or more, that I'd need just for an indoor terrarium. Our climate isn't exactly suitable for crocodiles either. So I think that's where we reach our limits. I've never seen anyone privately keep or handle something that big, but the smaller species, Paleosuchus, maybe Cayman crocodilis, African dwarf crocodilism, I think that's possible, or at least within the realm of possibility. And for those who have the space, it's a great hobby. Then, as my last point, Top 1086 brings up how I deal with criticism. That people, he says, some say, oh, as soon as I hear him talk, or he doesn't know anything anyway, or whatever, and so on. Also, an interesting question from you, and we'll do a separate episode about this question, because it's definitely a topic, especially with social media. You're exposed to criticism, you have haters, and so on. I find that so interesting. We'll definitely do a separate episode about it. That will be coming soon. Yeah, let's address that point specifically. We're noticing here while filming, either I'm talking too long today, too much, no idea, or your questions are just so intense or so good that it's simply taking more time. Long story short, we can't fit all into one episode. Normally we do these Ask Stefan episodes as a one and done, but in this case we're actually doing two parts. We'll take a few weeks or months now, and then we'll add the second part afterwards. So if you ask questions that didn't come up this time, I can't promise, of course, that they'll be included next time. But as I said, we'll do another Ask Stefan episode with those questions. And that's it for today. I'm looking forward to your comments. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If I touched on topics, for example, what I think could spark some discussion, like if you have a reptile and after a few years, or if the child or teenager loses interest, are you allowed to give it away or not? Things like that lead to discussion, and that's good. Discuss below and give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next Ask Stefan episode. Otherwise, stick with me and check out the beautiful Havel behind me. Cruise ships also pass through here. Yeah, take in the beautiful nature.